Spider-Man and Wolverine, after literally trying to kill each other, if they are to have any hope in surviving this matter, they're going to have to now work together against an even bigger threat, a new one at that. But this is AJ here at the Hero Informer, and let's get into it. So yeah, as we see Wolverine, Logan, and Spider-Man Peter Parker in middle of China fighting Dr. Octopus, they're just as confused as we are as to what actually is going on. Why are they being teleported all across the globe from the Savage Land to now China, and why are they also fighting each other's villains? In this battle here is kind of twofold, because yes, they have to defeat and take down Dr. Octavius, but they also have to protect the civilians from getting hurt in the process. Now, usually Dr. Octopus is not a super high credible threat for Spider-Man. Like, he could take him down on his own most of the times. He's no Carnage, Venom, or Morlun where it's a super tough battle. Now, logically speaking, if you put Spider-Man plus Wolverine together, surely this should be a fairly easy battle for the heroes. Yet, that's actually not the case here, because not only is Spider-Man still wounded from almost being gutted by Wolverine previously, but Dr. Octopus and whoever he is working for has been planning this and even has upgraded Tendros just for that matter. And you know, Peter being Peter, he is actively talking to the villain here, you know, asking questions, making quips. Logan, on the other hand, is dead set in trying to just kill and cut Octavius's head off. He is obviously more of a kill first then ask questions later type of hero or guy. Yet here, Dr. Octopus goes on to say that the reason why he's doing this is because he had an opportunity. The opportunity to prove to them which he has always known, that about being a hero with innocent lives at stake, Otto Octavius is superior. This mysterious new villain, Dread Shadow, as we have seen in the last issue, he's going to each of the previous villains we have seen, you know, Kraven, Octavius here, Omega Red, offering them a chance to prove their worth against their arch enemies or heroes that they have fought over many years. But Spider-Man just doesn't understand why. What is the point of this? Is it to humiliate him, to get him to see his shortcomings? Why is any of this even happening? But he has to figure it out quick, because every time one of them are about to lay a finger, or in Wolverine's case, a claw on one of them, the teleportation devices on the wrist instantly activates, as it does here, and sending them from China now to Rome. The cycle keeps repeating itself, them teaming up, fighting against the villain, and then they get teleported again. But this time it's just Spider-Man and not Wolverine. And you might think for Spider-Man, New York City is his home turf. He's safe. He's at home base. He can relax a little bit. But nope, he is dropped right into the final boss, the man named Dread Shadow, who has been orchestrating everything so far. Even as Spider-Man goes on to say that he's been wondering what all this is about, making him fight Logan, and then all of the other villains that have also come out the woodworks to fight against the duo. Dread Shadow just says it's about him, the heroes. You think your powers and colorful spandex make you heroes, but that's wrong. You're not super and you're not heroes. You're failures. Innocent people, good people die because of you. That's what all of this is about. Whereas on the other hand, Doc Ock is saying the same thing to Logan, just slightly different. Going on to ask him, can he feel it? The thing slipping away right now, the humanity, the mask that he has built up and that he is so proud of. And now instead the familiar rage building up inside. Let it out. Show yourself what everyone around you has always known. You're not a hero, you're an animal. So it looks like the villains are preying on the heroes' shortcomings and their ideologies. Logan has struggled for a long time being normal or not seeing himself as the animal that he sometimes can be. And likewise, Peter has also equally struggled a lot with doing the best he can as Spider-Man, but a lot of the times it's just not good enough. He does more harm than he does good. In a lot of the situations he finds himself as when being Spider-Man, which I kind of understand what he's trying to do. You know, many governments and organizations before in the Marvel Universe tried to put a handle on the superhero community and regulate them to cut down on casualties and collateral damage. But at the same time, he's literally employing the same villains that caused these problems in the first place to fight against them. You know, Doc Ock, Omega Red, Kraven, you know, people who would kill and cause great damage and hurt the good innocent people without blinking or thinking twice. Though this new villain, Dread Shadow, just simply thinks it's a means to an end, working with the other villains. As he goes on to say, don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. There's still so much more I have to show you. But it was easy, you know, convincing the others, the villains. Each of them before has been defeated by one or both of you. But I showed them that unified, we can do much more to punish you together than we ever could alone. As he grabs Spider-Man by the neck, continue on saying, are you starting to see it now? You're not powerful. You're not even responsible. Peter, of course, revealing that he knows his secret identity and knows who he truly is, which just adds a whole nother layer on top of it, because if he knows who Peter is, that means he also knows who's he connected to and his loved ones, and he can hurt him in that route. So Spider-Man tries to even the playing field, saying that it doesn't seem fair, you knowing who I am, but I don't know who you truly are, as he pulls off his mask and it's just some random face. Some guy that Peter has never seen before in his life. So no, not some past villain in a new identity or somebody from Peter's or Wolverine's past, but someone completely new and seemingly fed up with heroes in what they are in the current state now. And whereas surprisingly, Wolverine isn't faring any better against Dr. Octavius. Doc Ock is holding his own and stalling Logan for as long as he can, but at least Logan has a caveat of having a pretty powerful healing factor, whereas Spider-Man in the moment most certainly does not, and would wish he did have one because, he is still very much hurt, internally bleeding, broken bones, being tired and weakened, the whole 9 yards. Peter going on to think that he'll kill me if he has a chance, but he's just so weakened, so he might actually have that chance. His only best bet now is to get away, find cover, and make a tactical retreat. But even though he can run, and he does just that, he knows who he is. How does he even know who he is? But for right now, that doesn't matter too much. What his priority, though, is getting the teleportation device off of his wrist and off of his body. Though going back, I was a little correct in what I said earlier. They did teleport Spider-Man to his home turf, meaning he has a lot of resources in New York as he goes to the Baxter Building, the home of the Fantastic Four, swooping in very freely as he is a very close member to the Fantastic Four. So he is able to override whatever security and able to get to the tech to work on this device on his wrist. And after some delicate work, and Peter being the very intelligent genius that he is successful. Successful in not only taking the device off of himself, but re-engineering it to now activate it on his own accord. And we see it firsthand once we cut back over to Logan in Rome right now fighting Doc Ock as he is about to finally let loose and just let the animal, the beast inside out. Suddenly, he is teleported by Peter back into New York. Of course, Logan being mad that his battle got ended early and he almost had the villain dead to rights. Though Spider-Man rightfully points out, endlessly fighting those guys isn't the point. There's something else going on. All of them said so. They were practically screaming it at them. Because this isn't just about vengeance, or at least not the kind that they're used to from villains. These guys and whatever they're planning, they're trying to show them something, prove something. But before Peter could fully realize his thought, suddenly his spider sense goes off, sensing the introduction of a third party, one that, much like everybody else so far through this comic, instantly wants to pick a fight with them, but not both of them, no, just Wolverine specifically, coming in using claws just like Wolverine, slashing him across the body, drawing blood. And even as Spider-Man watches Logan get caught off guard and just being sliced into, he just thinks to himself, no, wait, this can't be, this isn't possible. I thought she was in Europe. Yes, Peter's own sister, one of the last actually alive relatives that he has left, Teresa Parker. And I know obviously this may be a shock to a lot of people, as Peter Parker having a sister isn't really too well known, or Marvel doesn't really do a whole lot with it. And it also doesn't help with the fact that different writers have had different interpretations of whether she's truly the blood daughter of Richard and May Parker, whether she has been adopted, or just a whole mess of identity crisis, even throwing in the chameleon that makes the whole thing even more mysterious. But regardless, she is essentially a CIA, SHIELD, some sort of agent that is off doing secret missions while Peter became Spider-Man. After their parents died, or supposedly anyway, Peter of course went to Aunt May and Uncle Ben, and she was sent off somewhere else, eventually making her rounds in the Marvel Universe, encountering Nick Fury, Kingpin, and essentially now she is a highly skilled and highly proficient fighter and agent. Now, of course, not to the levels of a superhuman like Spider-Man or even Wolverine here for that matter, but, for human standards, she is more or less a Black Widow, if you will. Regardless, in the present here, she seems very angry. Even Peter just being uncertain about this entire situation. Because sure, Wolverine has been a friend over the years, even though Peter in the current moment doesn't know truly how to feel about him with the death of his parents and that whole mystery being brought back up. His sister here, on the other hand, doesn't seem to be very conflicted. She's very set to kill Wolverine for what happened. I mean, Peter was no different in the moment. He tried to kill Wolverine, but we see how that turned out, though that was more of a in-the-moment blind rage kind of battle. Peter just getting his frustration out. His sister, on the other hand, has had time to plan, to prep, to fully think about how she's going to take out the murderer of her parents, or assumingly so. As she goes on to say, this gun fires bullets forged of steel from a Muramasa blade, the only one thing that can truly hurt Wolverine or people with healing factors. Now, very hilariously enough, originally this blade was actually made from a piece of Logan's own soul and blood. So essentially a mumbo-jumbo explanation for why it can essentially bypass Logan's own powers and his own healing factor. But Peter's sister was smart. Instead of just bringing a sword so Logan can dodge it, she specifically made a gun that can fire bullets made of the same material. And guess what you get when you put specialized bullets in the hand of a trained killer, a trained agent? Yeah, anybody in their way is pretty much dying. As we see that it's potentially no different here. She actually shoots Wolverine in the abdomen. Because as she goes on to say, he killed our parents. Now, realistically, this bullet should act like a normal bullet against a normal person. his healing factor won't heal this up, meaning Logan could potentially die if Spider-Man doesn't step in to, save his previous friend, previous Avenger member, and fight against his own flesh and blood, putting Spider-Man in a pretty tough pickle because, just previously he tried to kill Logan himself. Now, once he is in a position where Logan can truly die potentially, does he really want to save him knowing what he may have done to his parents? But that is a question that we're going to get answered next time as this issue and video comes to a close. If you have enjoyed, leave a like or subscribe if you're new and want to see more content just like this. As always, this was AJ here at The Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.